So recently, I have been fascinated with learning about the brain and the effects that trauma has on the brain. Often, women are labeled as crazy by their abusers, and we usually take ownership of the abuse that is happening to us. Learning that abuse triggered a physiological response in my brain to protect me has been pretty empowering. Realizing that the trauma switch in the brain gets jammed after prolonged exposure has helped me understand a lot about some of the poor decisions that I made because of chronic trauma in my life. I was trapped inside a body that was never safe. And my body was actually responding correctly. I was not crazy. I needed to heal. Now, I'm not a psychiatrist, a therapist, or even a social worker. I am just a woman with a story and has been given the opportunity to speak on behalf of the more than 1 in 3 women who have experienced rape, physical violence, and or stalking by an intimate partner. So we could just look around the room, because yes, I said more than 1 in 3 women. So on behalf of the women who haven't healed yet, or the women that may still be healing, I'm standing here to hopefully help you all put yourself in her shoes by sharing my journey with you. My journey of experiencing and overcoming abuse started when I was 5 years old. Being sexually abused by my father, who was a pastor, as a weekly activity in my home. The home that was supposed to model safety, security, and love. By the time that I was 13, I was sexually abused more times than I could count, with the last time being gang rape after running away from my first foster home in the projects in Kansas City, where I was held captive against my will by the cartel. Nowhere was safe for me, and the feeling of love or safety was completely unrecognizable. I had fallen through the system's cracks and had accepted that this abuse was happening to me along with the abandonment because I thought I was doing something wrong. Abuse was just a part of my life, kind of like sports, hobbies, and family dinners are a part of someone else's life. But I had learned to endure it and even navigate it. So to help you imagine, by the time I was in my first relationship that was just physically abusive, this looked like a massive improvement to me. I had learned that living with monsters was normal, and I just wasn't one of the lucky girls. At 18 years old, I found the closest place to safety I had ever known: the strip club. In the strip club, I was in control. I had the power. Men were not allowed to touch me in the strip club. In fact, the strip club gave me 2 bodyguards to protect me in case one of those men did touch me. This was the dark reality of my life. I look back on it now and I cry for that little girl inside of me. And every other little girl or woman working in those strip clubs. You get so exhausted from being used and abused that the stage gives you this false sense of protection and power. It is sick. And it makes you sick morally too. the white picket fence with a home and a husband and children. Those dreams died a long time ago for those girls. Thugs, gangs, violence, teen pregnancy, abuse, drugs. I was raised as a pastor's daughter, and look at me now. In my mind, I was better off dead. I wouldn't even dare let a decent man close to me by this point. Eventually, I knew he would find out who I really was and leave me. Yeah, the good guy with the girl that was raised by monsters? No. So I stuck with what I knew. Abusive, narcissistic, and controlling monsters. I did need help keeping a roof over my head, clothes on my back, food in mine and my daughter's stomachs. I had already learned how helpful the system was to me. This vicious cycle went on and on. I had no sense of self-worth, identity, or purpose in life. Once a little girl who ran around telling everyone about her best friend Jesus and dreamed of being a pastor's wife. Now a woman trapped in a body where the trauma response system, which is your amygdala, I've learned, was jammed in the on position, and that caused cortisol to just constantly dump in my system. Just survive one more day. It wasn't just emotionally devastating, it was physiologically devastating to my body's nervous system. It had rewired how my brain responded to literally everything in life. You guys might see a man at the grocery store checking out your groceries. Life had taught my brain to see someone who wants to take something special from me. In fact, it was so devastating that when faced with a court custody hearing for my youngest daughter, I froze. The day I was supposed to show up to court, all I remember is hearing her dad's voice telling me that she would be better off not knowing me and I could save her from a life of pain if I would just disappear. Special doesn't even begin to describe how important she is to me. After that, the only way I could find to escape the rapid firing neurons in my brain, the shame, the worthlessness, was to drink or get high. I must be one of those monsters. That thinking took me down a really dark path where I faced two near-death experiences. One was overcoming a heroin addiction, and the second was having my boyfriend, who was in a motorcycle gang, bash my head into a door jamb, leaving me with 3 staples in my head and no home. I remember the day that I walked into the apartment. I got approved for at this place. I cried. It was the first place I paid for and lived on my own. I remember so many nights sitting in this beautiful, safe place, feeling so undeserving, like I was a filthy piece of junk junk that was accidentally misplaced. But my daughter, my oldest one, Harley, that I still have, she definitely deserved this new life. She did. That was the first year that I mustered up the strength to decorate a Christmas tree after abandoning my youngest daughter. I finally started my journey of being able to recognize safety as my brain slowly began to heal. Looking back now, what made the biggest impact on me is that I knew that Chris knew everything my oldest daughter had been exposed to. The years, my shame and my trauma clouded my decision making as a parent. Yet she believed in me anyway. The women at IVA's loved me anyway. For the first time, someone saw the hurting little girl down inside of me and said to me, "You are safe." And my surroundings actually reflected the words that were said to me. This helped me reframe my trauma, which is what I've learned required for the brain to heal. That reframing permitted me to start forgiving myself. I was not crazy. I was not a monster. And I am an amazing mother and wife. Later on, after forgiving myself, I was able to forgive everyone that had abused me. The forgiveness was the release of all of my trauma, which is also required for the brain to heal. I find myself asking now, what horrible things might have happened to the people that abused me? Who didn't love them? Who wasn't there for them? Who didn't believe in them? As for me, I am one of those lucky girls. And now, with the help of everyone at Isla's Place and the work that they do, I have the power to show other women how lucky they are too. Thank you.